Hi, I'm Debbie Tagliavore, Vice President of Commercial and Business Services with BECU, and thank you for joining us tonight for the Business Basics panel. I have the pleasure of facilitating a panel of business experts talking to us tonight about taxes, payroll, and marketing. So I'm going to introduce our illustrious guests, and then we're going to ask a few questions before we open it up to the audience. So, starting with Lily Tran. Lily is the founder of TaxUSign, providing virtual tax help for whatever life throws at you. Lily's an enrolled agent who represents taxpayers before the IRS when it comes to collections, audits, and appeals. Lily's a graduate of the University of Washington and has nearly 2 decades of experience in accounting, tax, and advisory services for small business owners. She's the editor and chief contributor of tax anthology entitled The Most Common Tax Mistakes Made by Small Businesses. To apply or work with her, you can visit her website at www.taxusign.com. Thank you for joining us, Lily. Next, we have Alexandria Fetzer. Alexandria has over 7 years of B2C and B2B marketing experience. As a marketing strategy manager for BECU, Alexandria develops and executes strategic plans to support product awareness, acquisition, utilization, and retention with accountability for results. She led the successful launch and management of the BECU member referral program from 2016 to 2021 and the launch of the KEXP debit card in 2020. Welcome, Alexandria. And Brittany Foster. Brittany is a district sales manager for small and mid-sized business division at Paychecks for Washington State. She has 4.5 years at Paychecks, and in this division has helped hundreds of small business owners with solutions for their payroll, HR, and benefits. She now manages a team of reps that spans the state, several of them working directly with business specialists here at BECU in support of our members. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight at the 2022 Member Summit. And I'm going to actually throw out a question for each of you before I bring in Gloria Dixon. So let's start with Lily. Lily, is there an accounting software that you recommend for small to mid-sized businesses?
Yes, so if you did attend earlier, Joseph, who is one of the mentor at SCORE, he had shared a number of accounting softwares available for small businesses. There was FreshBooks, Wave, QuickBooks, and Xero are the most common ones. And then if you're starting out, you might want to start with Excel. So depending on who you work with, you want to make sure that they have that accounting software experience. So if I am a small business and I'm using Wave, it doesn't make sense for you to go to a bookkeeper who uses QuickBooks Online. So whichever makes sense for you, and the pricing of the accounting software. So just keep that in mind when you select your accounting software.
Thank you, Lily. Alexandria, so what are some free or low cost ways to market my business?
That is a really great question. There are a lot of options. Social media is one that gets talked about a lot. And you can start out by just creating your social media pages across multiple platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You could also look at, if you don't already have one, making sure that you create and claim your Google My Business pages and your Yelp business pages. Create your website. There are free and low cost website options through WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, AWS. You can also look at tapping into your local network. So join a chamber, join business associations, do community events, sponsor community events, or attend local fairs. You can consider doing drawings or giveaways and you can even promote those through your social as a way to potentially increase your followers by having people tag friends to enter or having them follow and tag in order to enter. You can also create user-generated content or referral programs. So if you are having people already reviewing your company, maybe you can use those as testimonials to put on your website, and that might increase your word of mouth. If you already have an email platform that you're using, consider doing newsletters or monthly tips or tricks, and have people opt in through your website to sign up for those monthly emails. So there's many more, but I think those are just some good places to start.
That's quite a list, Alexandria. And then I'm just going to make a plug. Doesn't BECU offer a passport app? Don't we have an option for our business members? Can you tell a little bit about, can you make a little plug about the
Yeah,
passport app?
sure. So we did partner with Passport. So we are offering our business members to participate in the Passport program, and we would pay for that membership for the first year. So you would create an exclusive offer for BECU members, and then you can market yourself through the Passport app. And that is a program that is available for all BECU members as well, just to be able to have that availability for those discounts as well.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. And so the next question is for Brittany. Brittany, what are some top HR issues that business owners are facing today?
That is a good question. I would say some of the top things that we're seeing right now, getting employees in the door, right? Recruiting, onboarding those new employees. What types of benefits make sense for a business? Whether that's a retirement plan or health insurance or some additional PTO, and then the remote work. So that ties into hiring employees, but people looking for options where they can be hybrid or fully working from home. And what does that look like? How do you manage people that aren't physically in front of you? And how do you relay policies and make sure that they are fair and compliant across the board?
Thank you. Thanks for answering that, Brittany. So now I would like to introduce Gloria Dixon. Gloria is going to help us facilitate some questions from the audience. For any of you that haven't been in earlier sessions, Gloria is BECU's Director of Philanthropy and also the Executive Director of the BECU Foundation. So Gloria, you probably have a number of questions all ready to go. You want to start with those, and then we'll direct them to the appropriate panel member?
Sure, I have one question right now. What business expenses can I write off?
Well, I think we're going to send that over to Lily as our tax expert. Lily, you want to answer that?
Yes. So first, you need to know what your business entity is. Your business entity will help you determine what you can write off on your tax return. And so the best way for you to really look is knowing what tax form you would need to file. So let's say you're a Schedule C, you're a sole proprietor, single member LLC, you file a Schedule C. So what I would recommend that you do is just go onto the IRS website, pull up a Schedule C, and you can see like the most common write-offs. So like advertising, office expense, you can do the home office deduction, mileage, meals. So this year, 100%, you take out your client out and talk about business, you can deduct 100% for the meals. And there's so many different types of expenses you can deduct. So just go on and look at the form, and from there you can kind of see. And there's also other expenses you can deduct as well.
Thank you, Lily. Gloria, next question.
Yeah, we have one from Michelle. How many employees do I need to have before I sign up for a paycheck service?
Okay, Brittany, the Paychecks expert.
Yeah. So there is no minimum. One employee is all that you need to have. Of our 750,000 clients, about 25% of them are either one employee or a single member LLC that needs to run payroll for themselves. So no limit there or minimum.
Okay. Well, thanks, Brittany. That makes it easy. Gloria, additional questions?
Sure. How do I understand my target audience for marketing, and why is it important?
Alexandria, you want to give us the answer to that?
Sure. I don't know if my answer will be as short and sweet, but I'll start with the why it's important and go into kind of how you can understand it. So this is knowing your target audience, knowing who your customers are is really important to understand the right channels of where to promote your products and your services services to help kind of rein in the ideas and prioritize your efforts, especially if you are working on a finite budget or have a finite amount of time to put towards marketing efforts. So kind of some ways to start is you probably have some assumptions of who your customers are and who your target audience is. So I would just start by challenging those assumptions and kind of taking a step back and saying, well, what data do I have at my hands to know that this is actually my customer base and my target audience? And then if you have been in business for a little bit, what information do you have on your audience? Do you have age, location, their spending patterns, any interests, like what their challenges are, what their stages in life are? If you're a business to business organization, do you know the size of the business owners that you're working with or who the decision makers are? You can kind of then take a step and do some tools like Google Analytics to research what people are doing on your website and understand their patterns on your website. You can use Facebook Insights if you do use Facebook to understand who is interacting with your social posts. And then you have other research tools that you can use, like SparkToro is a great audience research insight tool that you can potentially use to understand the websites your customers visit, what social accounts they follow, hashtags. BuzzSumo is another great one to understand what people are posting, sharing, and engaging with. And then you can also just say, well, who are my competitors and what are they doing in social? And then you can use research tools also to understand your competitors like SpyFu, again, BuzzSumo, and SEMrush. And then once you kind of have all of this information at your fingertips, it's really helpful to create kind of a customer persona or a buyer persona, which is really just a like semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer based on all the data and the research that you have at hand. And that's just like a nice consolidated view of who your customers are. So when you go back and you're saying, I want to create a marketing plan to reach this person, what's the best mix of channels, or where am I going to reach them?
Thanks, Alexandria. That's really helpful. Gloria, next question.
Sure. We have a question from a member on taxes. How do I minimize my taxes?
All right, Lily, you're the expert.
Yes. So if you find yourself owing taxes, what you want to do is find someone who specializes in tax planning, because tax planning happens year round. You want to go and meet with a tax planner, tax coach, or CPA, EA who specializes in tax planning strategies. There are many, if you know the tax code, it helps small businesses save on taxes. So there's lots of ways to minimize your taxes. And a tax coach can help you implement these tax planning strategies to minimize your taxes, but you always want to meet with them in the current year. So like right now we're in 2022, you want to meet with them now for your 2022 tax return, not during tax season in 2023, because the number of tax planning strategies available is very limited.
That's great advice. Thank you. Thanks, Lily. Gloria?
We have another tax question from Michelle. What if I can't pay all my taxes? What options do I have?
Yeah, so if you can't pay your taxes, there are payment options available. I would definitely work with a qualified tax professional, enrolled agent. I'm an enrolled agent. That means I'm federally licensed tax practitioner. I'm licensed in all 50 states. And so there are payment options available. So you want to work with them to find out what payment option is the best for you. So just reach out to a qualified tax professional.
Perfect. Great advice. All right, Gloria, what's next?
We have a question from Brent. What do I need to know to employ people who live out of state?
I think that might be a multi-pronged question. I think we could probably ask that of Brittany and Lily. So, Brittany, you want to start with from a payroll standpoint?
Yeah. From a payroll perspective, it's going to vary state to state. There's going to be different unemployment or income tax or workers' comp that needs to be put in place. And then in addition to that, many states have different mandates around retirement or sick time or paid time off. In addition, more than we could even go into as far as in laws around employment practices, different handbook items that need to be put in place. So there's a lot. It depends on which state. Some are more stringent on different policies than others. And even just from Washington to Oregon, there's a lot of different pieces that come into play having employees. And so working with somebody who has expertise in all of those states or in the specific state that you're in, they can give you really guided advice on what that looks like.
And Lily, do you have anything to add to that from a tax perspective?
So I think Brittany kind of covered a lot about the payroll because it has to do a lot with payroll. But if you do plan to hire someone, like let's say your business is in Washington and you hire someone in California, you need to also think about how not just payroll, but your federal taxes too. So your federal, your state, and your city taxes, you have to think about that. And if you're required to file those, so you want to work with someone who is familiar with the state that you do hire that employee.
Great. Thank you, ladies. Okay, Gloria?
We have a question from Sarah. How do I connect my Google account to specific search terms and have it move to the top of the list, including the business name?
Alexandria, I think that sounds like a marketing question to me.
Sounds like that's a really great question. Can you repeat that one more time, please?
Of course. How do I connect my Google account to specific search terms and have it move to the top of the list, including the business name?
I don't have that answer right off the top of my head, but I could definitely follow up on that one.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you for checking back. So we'll have some places to send additional questions to at the end of this session. Other questions, Gloria? Another
Yes. How do we understand some of the metrics that are important to my banker? Can my CPA help me with that?
So, Lily, do you want to start with that?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by metrics.
Okay, maybe I will take a shot and we'll see if maybe if I take a shot from the banker perspective, maybe you could give some advice from the tax perspective. So, generally for a business, we look at a number of things. We start really with cash flow, right? So do you have adequate debt coverage to support the loan? And most of the time, a bank is looking for at least from a minimum a 1.25 debt coverage, which means after all of your bills, you have your net profit and you have a 25% cushion, right? So 1.25 means that you have 125% cash flow to cover your debt payment. There are also some other important metrics that you look at for businesses, which are, a quick ratio and a current ratio, which help us understand, how quickly you can come up with cash, and how liquid a company is. There's also the leverage metrics, which says how much debt to worth I have. And so, for every dollar I have in equity, how much am I borrowing? And so those are probably off the top of my head some of the real key metrics we look at around leverage, cash flow, current and quick ratios. Do you work with those much, Lily, being on the tax side?
So I think some of the things like financial statement and cash flow comes down to bookkeeping. So in order to get those financial statements that a banker is looking for, you have to do your bookkeeping. And bookkeeping is like the meat and potato of your business. And that comes where we were talking about the accounting software to having accounting software to produce those financial statements for you.
Right. Right. And a lot of the software programs now will do a lot of the calculations. I mean, it's so much easier with technology, that you can get a lot of these programs off the shelf and they'll really help you. So if there are further questions around that, feel free to reach out to BECU. And again, we'll have a email address for you guys to send questions to that may not have been fully answered. Gloria, next question.
Sure, we have one. How do I create a compelling brand?
All right, Alexandria, tell them the secret sauce.
I will do my best to tell you all the secret sauce. So I would say in developing a compelling brand and like a compelling brand story, it's going to start with knowing yourself, knowing your business, what's your values and your mission, and what do you stand for as an organization. Have a clear vision. Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in 2, 5, 10 years? Understand kind of the arc of where you want to go with your business. I said this a little bit ago, but just understanding who your audience is. Find that audience, because you can't tell a good story and develop a really strong brand if you don't know who your audience is and who you're talking to. Find your narrative. What's your brand voice? How do you sound? How do you want to talk? How do you want people to know who you are? Keep it simple, so short and sweet. We know attention span is really finite, so we don't want to have an extremely long message unless that channel is calling for it. So just knowing where you can have a longer and a shorter message. Be human, show who you are, be true to yourself and to your brand. Don't try to be something that you're not, and make sure that you're showing and telling. So having those visual representations in addition to just the words on the page. So those would just be a few places that I would start and recommend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Good advice. Gloria?
Sure. We have a question from a member. I would like to invest in commercial real estate, but don't know how to get started. How do I get started?
Well, I think that's a question for me. So we have a team of commercial real estate lenders, and so I'll give you a little bit of information. And if you want to reach out directly to BECU, we'd be happy to kind of provide further guidance. But generally speaking, you're going to need about 25% down on a commercial real estate purchase. There are ways of going about gathering that in different through different channels. Like if you were to put, obviously, you're going to have an entity that you put together. Most use an LLC. You can bring in other partners as a syndicate structure. So if it's a larger acquisition, you can have a number of partners. If you're looking at starting small, again, 25% down is what to expect. The loans are sized based on the property's cash flow. So we call that NOI. The net operating income that property spins off is what we use to size the debt. And again, back to that 1.25%, that's kind of a common number. It may be a little bit more depending on the type of real estate that you invest in, but having a 25 to 35% cushion after all of your expenses are expensed out and your loan is serviced to have some excess cash flow. And then most financial institutions will also look at the guarantor. So you would be providing a personal guarantee where you sign on behalf of the loan, right? So your LLC is the borrower, and then you personally guarantee that if anything goes wrong. And so if you have excess income and excess liquidity, that will always provide a bit of a cushion. But if you'd like more information about commercial real estate financing, you can actually go to our website and look up our commercial real estate lenders and reach out directly, or we'll have the community relations address for you at the end of this that you can reach out and we'll connect you to someone directly at BECU. So thank you for asking. Gloria, next question.
We have a question from Mike. I am starting a business. What business structure do you recommend?
Well, Lily, I think that sounds like a tax and a structure question.
That is a tax and sometimes an attorney question. So it's there's no right or wrong answer to this, except if there's two of you, then you can't be a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC. The most common is the sole proprietorship. It's common, it's simple, it's cost effective. And then if you heard Joseph talked about, he said a limited liability company. If you choose a LLC, which is a state recognized business entity, you can always become an LLC as a sole proprietorship, like tax as a sole proprietorship, LLC tax as a partnership, LLC tax as an S Corp or a C Corp. And so that question is more like, you would work with someone, like work with a tax professional, an attorney, to really determine what is the best for you to start. But I would probably start with, like, let's say an LLC if you're looking to protect your personal assets.
Thank you, Lily. Okay, next question.
We have a question around marketing. How do I know if my marketing is performing well? What are common success metrics or key performance indicators and the standard rate for each?
That's a great question. So I have just some general metrics to share across social and email, but there are many other metrics that we could look at as well. So on social, generally you can have kind of engagement rates anywhere between less than 0.5% to upwards of 18%. An engagement rate would be the amount of interactions with your post, so likes, shares, comments, divided by the number of followers that you have. And then if you are looking at all of your posts, then it would be adding up all of your posts, averaging those out, and dividing it by your followers. So for Facebook, your median engagement for 2022 is about 0.064%, and that's across all industries. So there's a lot of industry benchmarking as well that you can look at, but this is across all industries. Instagram, you have a median engagement of about 0.67%. It's a little less for videos of around 0.61%, and it's a little bit higher for just those standard photo posts, about 0.81%. For Twitter, you're looking at engagement per tweet about 0.037% across all industries. TikTok, which is a really hot social channel right now, that engagement rate is about 18%, which is really interesting and a platform that I'm interested in exploring more. And then for emails, you have an average open rate of about 30% with an average click-through rate of about 1.25%. So that's gives you just kind of a general outline if you're using social and email. But again, there are other metrics too that you may want to look at, and you can usually find a lot of those benchmarking online as well.
Well, that really runs the gamut, doesn't it? Thanks. Gloria?
Sure, we have a question. If I have a seasonal business, what are some tips for hiring seasonal employees?
All right, Brittany.
All right. I'm not sure if the direction I'm going to go answering this is answering what the question is, but I'll do my best. I would say making sure that job descriptions are really, really accurate and it's very clear that it's a seasonal position, making sure that you're hiring people that are looking for temporary work. Some tips around hiring those employees or sourcing those candidates would be maybe past employees or people that your current employees know, looking for people that are specifically requesting temporary work. I'm not sure if that's the direction that the question was wanting me to go.
Yeah, it sounds like a recruiting kind of question, which might be challenging for all of us, but and depending on the season, I'm just going to take a stab. Depending on the season, you might find, if you're looking for summer work, if there are teachers or people that have, a different type of schedule where they might be off during that period. Um, Students are always an option if it's an option with the business. And then I think, new immigrants and looking out, doing some outreach. There are some services and organizations that will help you find employees too. And for some reason, off the top of my head, I can't think of it, but I might Google it while we answer another question and see if I can find. But there's some different organizations that help with temporary work. So I would say, kind of look those up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We have another question. How much do payroll services cost?
That is a tricky one to answer. It depends on what types of services that the business needs, because every business The complexity of their payroll or the intricacies within the payroll are different. And so there's different pieces and parts that may need to be turned on or off. And the way that we set things up, it depends on how many employees you have and how frequently you're processing payroll for them. But to give a, somewhat of an idea, for a really small business, it can be less than $100 a month. And then depending on the size of the business or complexity, could be, much more than that.
Thanks, Brittany. Okay, so WorkSource is the organization I was looking for, but there's also Upwork, and there's probably others online if you spend a little time kind of just searching for temporary employees or seasonal employees or seasonal work, and so some things like that. So, Gloria, next.
Sure. I have heard that businesses should buy business equipment or vehicles at the end of the year to help reduce their tax burden. Do you advise this?
Lily?
Yeah, so this year, sorry, I just got so excited that I just jumped right in. So this year, bonus depreciation is 100%. So if you're looking to buy big equipment, this is the year to do it. It does help you minimize your taxes. And then the following year, the bonus depreciation goes down to 80% and goes lower and lower. So if you're looking to buy equipment, this is the year to do it. And yes, it does minimize your taxes.
Okay, we have another question. Besides facilitating payroll, what are some other services that Paycheck offers? Can you help with 401k plans?
Yeah. So paychecks can help a business through the entire life cycle of their employees. So anything from assistance in recruiting, hiring, onboarding employees, obviously the payroll piece. We can help with administering benefits. So that could be a health insurance plan or a 401k plan. And then on the HR side, there's a pretty wide variety of things that we can help with, whether that's putting together an employee handbook, job descriptions, safety manuals, being a resource for sort of 911 type of situations, having a HR professional that can handle those employee problems that come up, and then also help with time and attendance, so different time clock options to track that as well.
I have a question. Why would I be asked for a personal guarantee on a business loan?
Okay, well, I will take that one on. So, generally speaking, when a lender, and most lenders are lending to a small business, you are the business. Without the business owner, the success and the repayment source are really not there, right? Once you become a larger business and become, let's say, you grow from a very small business up to a huge business, that personal guarantee value may be diminished, but for the most part, we're in partnership with that business owner. And so we ask that the business owner stand behind their business with a personal guarantee, saying, I'm here personally if this business doesn't work. So as an example, as a sole proprietor, your business entity is more of an individual. So you are the borrower. So you don't sign a personal guarantee because you are the borrower. So you are essentially guaranteeing that loan. But just about any situation with a brand new business or a very small business, a financial institution will want that personal guarantee because we want you to stand behind and believe in your business more than we do, and our it just makes everyone more comfortable. It gives us kind of a security. It minimizes the risk. It helps you with your loan pricing because with a personal guarantee, if you didn't have a guarantee, you'd probably have a higher interest rate. But it's just highly unlikely that small businesses would obtain financing without that personal guarantee if it's any structure outside of a sole proprietor. So hopefully I answered that adequately. Gloria?
Yep, I think we pretty much are at time.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it? Well, I would just like to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and taking time to attend the member summit and to attend this session. I'd like to thank our panel participants, ladies. You've done an excellent job giving some guidance. Um, if you didn't get a chance to ask a question or get your question fully answered, you can email us at community relations, and that's relations with an S, at becu.org, and we'd be happy to answer your email and your questions. There's also a survey below. Please take a minute to answer and give us feedback. We get better every year from these surveys. And then, so this concludes all of our breakout sections, and we'd really love for you to join our keynote panel that's starting in 5 minutes. But thank you very much. That we appreciate your membership. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and share this great panel, and have a wonderful evening.